Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for Live with Contiki, episode 6. My name is Jenny, and I'm with Contiki Canada. If you don't know about Contiki at all, we are a travel company for 18 to 35-year-olds with trips all over the world. We have about 350 different itineraries, so something for everyone. And I am so excited to welcome our very special guest, Andrew Gunadie, who you may know as Gunnarolla. Welcome, Andrew. How are you?
I'm doing good, but I have to say I'm disappointed because when we talked about what music to put in the pre-show, I said I wanted Kids Bop, and I didn't hear one Kids Bop.
Well, I started listening to it, and I was like, this might not be for everyone, but I'm really happy that you showed me all about Kid Bop. It was great.
Yes.
So we actually met, I think, is it like 6 or 7 years ago at this point?
It would have been 2013. Yeah, my first Contiki in Thailand.
Yeah. So,
That's
I mean,
a
a
long
pretty
time.
cool place to meet. I think we met like in Bangkok in the hotel that we were staying at.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously you have been up to a lot in the meantime. And I think we're really excited to hear a little bit about it. Like, what have you been doing? Tell us about yourself.
Well, the past couple of months, I haven't been doing a lot, to be honest. I've been stuck indoors like everybody else. But for those of you who don't know, I'm a music and video producer who travels the world and based from Canada's London, based mostly in Toronto. I do have a degree in media studies and television broadcasting. I studied at Western and Fanshawe. I did their collaborative degree diploma program. So I kind of learned the theoretic side and also the practical side of media, how we produce and consume information, and how we make TV shows. And my career in media has spanned well over a decade now. I worked in reality TV. I was the senior video producer at TIFF for a time, and now I run my own business. And that's my entire full-time focus, 24/7. You might also know me from YouTube. I started a YouTube channel in 2006, which I think is when YouTube was founded. 2005, 2006.
You
I
just
was like,
jumped on that.
I know. I'm OG. I was like one of the first accounts there. And my first industry job, though, was Canada's Next Top Model. I worked in post-production there. I was an intern. And now I'm a digital host and producer for Travel Channel, HGTV. They're both under the Discovery family in the US. So that's what I'm doing now. But my travel journey, my producing travel stories, that kind of started with Contiki. And I have to say, it really just changed what I thought I was going to do with my career. Because on YouTube, I'm known primarily as like a video blogger and musician. But once I went on my first Contiki, I realized like, hey, I want to do this for my life. And I think I loved Contiki because it wasn't expert travelers. It wasn't people who had a ton of money. It was just young people like me who were looking for an experience to, a transformative, life-changing experiences. So I've been on 4 Contikis so far. I started in Thailand, and then I did Eastern Road, which took us from Germany all the way through Auschwitz to Poland. I've done Egypt and the Nile, and I did Mediterranean highlights, which started in Italy, ended in Spain. My favorite thing about Contiki really is just group travel, meeting other people, meeting like-minded people. You find your crew there, and you have experiences around the world. And
because
very good-looking
people. You were a solo traveler before this, right?
I was doing a lot of solo trips or like, 2 people, but never like a group setting. So it was interesting to meet people from different, various backgrounds, different parts of the world, a lot of Australians, a lot of, Brits, a lot of people in America. But this was the last trip that I took Mediterranean highlights. I had a very good looking crew. You attract what you are. So that's,
I feel like
very obnoxious.
It looks like the cover of a magazine or something.
It should go in the brochure. I don't know who I have to talk to make that happen, but this should be a brochure photo. We loved each other. It's just like you see the best and the worst parts of people when you travel, but luckily we really only had the best. So we were very obnoxious every day, just taking photos together, but how could
just loving each other.
Yeah. So yeah, I think to give you an idea of, the vibe and the way I like to tell a story, here's a clip from Mediterranean Highlights. This is the trailer.
When I was
19, the first trip I ever took without my parents was to Italy. Being back here with Contiki so many years later, it's funny how much you remember. The cobblestones, the alleyways, the sounds and the food. It's like reliving a dream, but realizing that there's so much more to the story that you don't know yet. Over 2 weeks, I'm traveling through Italy, France, Monaco, and Spain. I'm going to see some incredible things, and I get to do it with the most amazing new friends.
That literally just made me want to travel so much.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It also goes to show how important good audio is, because on my computer it was like playing 1 frame a second, but the audio was consistent. So
yeah,
was still
those are Zoom issues. So we apologize to the audience if there's a bit of a lag.
Okay.
So what about like take us back to the start, and maybe just tell us about your creative journey and what led you to where you are now.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, in 2006, I created a YouTube account. And at that time, hard to believe, but there wasn't really an easy way to, upload and share video. If you wanted to watch a video, you had to download it or put it as an attachment. So when YouTube came along, and it was all of a sudden, there was a way to, upload a video, send somebody a link, and they could just stream it on their computer. So I was interested in it as, a way to show my friends and family projects that I'd been working on. And as I was uploading stuff, I became aware of a whole community, and specifically a whole community of Asian Americans and Asian people across the world. So they kind of embraced me, and I started, experimenting with, well, how can we collaborate with them? How can I engage with them? And it was really exciting. There was just no blueprint for like how to make money, or how to parlay this into a full-time career. I wasn't thinking about that at all. So in 2007, as part of my studies, I had to do an internship, and I applied everywhere. It was my dream to work at Much Music, and it didn't happen. But I learned that, a lot of media, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So even though I had a great portfolio and I thought I was like really cool, ultimately you just have to keep going. You're going to get a lot of rejection. So I found out that Canada's Next Top Model was in production. I got in touch with them. I sent my reel. Coincidentally, I had done something like Top Model inspired. So they were really impressed by that. And I have to say, if you are looking to become a better storyteller, work in reality TV, because that is all about the art of taking a bunch of footage that maybe is not interesting at all and manufacturing a story and heightening the drama. So I learned so much just sitting there watching tapes. We had to do like very unglamorous work, like sitting and transcribing the confessionals. They get the models to sit down and talk for an hour, and I just had to type out every word, and really thinking about, well, what is the story editor going to do to make this seem like dramatic? So at the same time, I was uploading just random content to YouTube. I was doing some video blogs. I was also starting to get into music production, because I do have a background in music performance and teaching. In 2009, we have a music video that went viral, and it really, like, truly viral in the sense that like people were sending it in email forwards, like your mom and dad saw it. It wasn't like today where like, okay, it's not a big deal that there's a video that gets 1 million views. That happens all the time now. But at that time, it was a pretty big deal.
It's such a good video. If people haven't watched it, you need to go to YouTube right after this and watch it. It's so funny.
It's interesting because it's over 10 years old, right? So at that time, again, we didn't create it because we thought, oh, it's going to go viral. We really produced the song and the music video in 48 hours. We wrote the song, found mounted costumes, shot a video, put it out. I didn't, there's nothing on it it doesn't say, oh, subscribe to us or whatever. It was good timing. It was like a week before Canada Day. And I think it resonated with a lot of people because, we talk about how proud we are to be Canadian. And I still hear from people all the time that, I'm not even Canadian, and I watched this as I was in the process of immigrating to Canada, or, we studied this in our university class about, Canadian culture identity. So it's really cool to see that something that we just kind of made because we loved it and we didn't have any expectations, it really blew up and resonated with people. That being said, I still was not thinking, oh, YouTube could be a job or I could be a full-time creator. So in 2010, I founded the in-house video production at the Toronto International Film Festival. So before I joined, they didn't have anybody on staff that was tasked with, preparing reels, cutting trailers, interviews, producing content, marketing content, like PR content. My job role evolved, and I ended up doing so many of those things and more. We started handling festival content, red carpets. I still remember my first video interview was with Apichatpong Weerasethakul. He's a Thai film director. I don't come from a film background. I knew nothing about film. I see like one movie a year, but I was very invested in learning and, telling these stories. So I was doing that, but still uploading to YouTube, on the side. And in the back of my mind, the question grew of like, what makes you happy? What makes you feel fulfilled? And while I was still working at TIFF, I ended up going on a tour across Canada. We drove across Canada down to LA with Andrew Huang, and we did a show every night. And that experience, I used my 2 weeks of vacation to do it. That experience really changed my perception of like, well, what is the purpose of my life? What makes me happy? I never asked that question before. I was always just, what makes you money? What makes sense with your degree? So I got to meet a ton of the people who were supporting me since the beginning and new fans and, performing a show. And I thought, you know what? I think I just want to like quit my job and like make more of what I love. So I quit my job and I was working on music videos, but at the same time, the YouTube landscape was starting to change. People were starting to make money from it. We were developing a celebrity culture. And I think the platform was starting to privilege a certain type of content or, valuing consistency, views, subscribers, and things that I was very resistant to. So I was getting very frustrated. But in 2013, I was invited on my first Contiki. I had done a little bit of travel content, but this was like my first opportunity to, let's take you to a foreign country and give you an experience and see how you can tell that story. So we went to Thailand. It was a media trip. It was also interesting traveling with other creators because everybody's very focused on documenting and talking to a camera.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I was like, you know what? I want to balance documenting stuff, but also just experiencing stuff. And
for sure. I need to jump in this photo here of everyone walking up up to the temple. I think it was in Chiang Mai. I remember I was walking behind this group and just being like, this is so funny. Like every person was filming and telling their own story, but like right beside someone else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely get that.
Yeah. And I saw that and I thought, you know what? I need to like get a shot of this happening because nobody really understands what's happening behind the scenes. Like we're all walking up these 300 steps. But the other reason why I appreciate Contiki is because I think it just, both of our brands kind of like made sense together. And it was the first time that I felt like, hey, I'm actually good at this. Because when I was uploading stuff and putting it on YouTube, it's so easy to become demoralized and say, well, I didn't go viral again and I'm not making money and I didn't get enough views. And like people are leaving hate comments, racist comments all the time. But being on the Contiki, and, I wanted to impress everybody. So I was like producing a video a day, but I was still having experience. And Brad, the president at the time, he was very appreciative of that and very supportive. And I felt like I had a great champion in him. He really understood that, hey, this guy like tells a story in a bit of a different way. He's got his own point of view, but he's also able to have an experience and, have fun during the day and then, produce something at night and then repeat. And it is very hard to do that on a 10-day trip.
Especially when you're just using a GoPro, right?
Yeah, and at the time too, I don't know why. There's like a good period of time from like 2013 to 2016. All I was shooting on was a GoPro. So that just goes to show you don't need the fanciest equipment. But anyway, I was starting to get recognized for what I was doing. As you can see there, I'm with Superwoman Lily Singh. I won an award that
Love
year.
her.
Love her. 2014 rolls around, and what happens in 2014? I can't even remember. There we go. So at this point, I was starting to think, you know, maybe YouTube is not for me. Maybe I'm not going to be like the best YouTuber. I'm not going to have 1 million views. Let's try to find other opportunities to utilize skills and do things that I'm really scared of. Think outside the box. So in 2013, I won an award, and in 2014, they invited me to host the award show, and I wore the same blazer. That's how you know I wasn't making any money.
I love
Yeah.
that.
So yeah, I was doing more live hosting. I actually had a really popular show with Andrew Bravner. We were curating the best of the worst of YouTube. It was a 12-hour show that we did at Tiffany Blanche. And it was a way for us to celebrate the old YouTube that we knew. I was starting to do more meetups around the world, you know, meeting with viewers, fans, supporters, and creating content with them. And I also released an album in 2014. It was like the #1 album on iTunes in comedy. So that was like,
Oh,
it was,
that's
yeah,
impressive.
it was a really impressive, really, really cool thing to happen. But I think I was drifting away from music. It was just very exhausting to, you know, to produce something consistently. You put so much of your emotions into it that it was draining.
Mm-hmm.
And then for so much of the discussion to just be around, oh, well, it didn't go viral again. Oh, you deserve more views, but you're not getting them. So again, 2015 rolls around, and I really had to think about, how do I define success? Is success going to be millions of fans and that's it? No, for me, it was like, I think my version of my idea of success is authenticity and integrity. Did I do what I want to do, how I wanted to do it? So I had to think about, well, how do I continue to do these things I love to do, but also the reality of making money doing it? So I explored opportunities to work with more brands. I did more gigs with Contiki. I went to Egypt, and there's just, you can see a little sample of the different brands I've worked with. I did a big project with catalogs. But the interesting thing is, you know, I work with a ton of brands. I think it's not always obvious, because the brands I work with always just kind of make sense with the stuff I would be doing anyway. And I don't actively pitch. I would say like 99% of the stuff that I do with a brand, it's inbound. I don't reach out to them.
They
They
come to
just
you.
find me because
Yeah.
they look into what I'm doing. Yeah. And it just kind of, does it make sense for Gunnarolla to work with KFC or with Google or with Tourism Calgary? And what kind of what's his point of view? So for anybody who wants to get into doing more brand work, I would say my advice is, make sure you have a point of view. Make sure you're not just emulating somebody else's style. You actually can bring something to the table. I meet a lot of creators who are like, oh, I want to work with a brand, but they don't know what they're delivering to that brand. They don't know how they're able to, you know, tell a story that is true to them, but that incorporates the brand in a way that's natural. So I'd like to think I've been pretty good at doing that, and, you know, creating content that's professional, but that also my audience will enjoy, and that they'll trust my opinion. I don't just work with anybody. I work with brands that I actually like
For
and
sure.
use.
And I think what you said about, you know, remaining authentic to yourself and things that you actually believe in, that is probably a huge reason why brands do come to you, because they see that it comes through in everything that you create, and they want an authentic story told for their brand, right? So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, it's just like, authentic is such a buzzword. I think everybody wants to be authentic, but I really truly believe that I'm only out there being myself. I'm not trying to be a version of somebody else. Sometimes you drift away from that and you get a bit lost, but you always come back to like the core of like, why am I doing this? Why am I struggling to make this happen? If it, you know, it has to be you. So 2015, I also did a big project with Hard Rock Cafe. I never knew what my dream job was until I got that gig. And basically we traveled the world eating burgers. Hard Rock Cafe, you'll find it anywhere in the world. But what they do that's kind of unique is that they'll invent a burger that incorporates the flavors of whatever city they're in. So we went to Seattle. There was a burger that had like a coffee rub in it, which is really cool. We went to Germany, and you'll see it later, but there's like a schnitzel burger. So we kind of got to experience that and tell the stories of the cities of where these restaurants are located. In 2016, I aligned with Tastemade. They reached out to me. They had just been following the stuff I was doing, and they offered me the opportunity to produce a show based on solo travel. And they said, what do you want to do? And I said, you know what? I've always wanted to experience Lunar New Year in Asia. So I had this opportunity to go. I had no idea what I was doing. But here's the opening sequence for that show. It's called One for the Road. Hey, I'm Andrew, also known as Gunnarolla, musician, world traveler, and rainmaker.
Oh my god, it's pouring! Oh no!
I'm heading out to Asia for the 15 days of Lunar New Year. I'm expecting parades, fireworks, and a ton of good food.
Sorry, Hello Kitty, I think we're going to have to cut you open.
You never really know what to expect or who you'll meet when you travel solo. That is the most exciting part for me. Let's go. So working with Tastemade was interesting too, because they were very food focused and, doing a lot of recipes, a lot of food centered content. So that was kind of my introduction to, hey, I can tell a travel story that also focuses on food. So by 2017, I was traveling independently. I was, just on my own, working with different brands, also working with tourism boards. And we had this idea to do a show called Nom Voyage, where we kind of tell the story of restaurants in an airport, because I got stuck in an airport once in North America, and the only option we had to eat was like prepackaged sandwich. And I asked myself,
Brutal.
why is it like this? Yeah, especially when you travel through Asia and it's like an experience. You want to get to the airport early because there are restaurants out there. So we kind of told this story on my own. We did it in LA. And then we did it also in Toronto. Out of my own budget and my own time, brought Alicia in and worked with Toronto Pearson to tell the story of the restaurants at Toronto Pearson, which they were kind of putting more thought into how do we make the airport dining experience more exciting. So they collaborated with local chefs, developed these concepts. So here's a trailer for Nom Voyage. Hey everyone, Gunnarolla here, and today we're taking you through some of the diverse restaurants in Terminal 1 at Toronto Pearson International Airport.
We take fried chicken, we soak it in buttermilk, we put some Japanese spices on it. Oh snap.
Time for the pizzas.
It's a big piece.
This is a big piece.
Oh God, okay.
It's a big pizza slice.
One of the signature items is going to be the edible helium balloon.
Let's suck a balloon.
Okay. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh.
I really want to try that helium balloon.
You can, Chef John Placco. Sorry, also the video is like super choppy for me. So if anybody wants to see it, it's all on YouTube. You can just Google it. But so we had done, this show concept, and I have to also give credit to Bill at LA Tourism, because he also helped me do that in LA. But we did this kind of pilot, not thinking, oh, this could be a series. And then in 2018, I was approached by Discovery to sign with them as talent, as a producer and as a host. And one of the big projects we did there was turning my little YouTube video into a series. So now I was able to produce Nom Voyage with the crew and with the budget. So we've done 2 seasons of that show so far. And the first season we looked at airport dining. So we featured Chicago, LAX, we've done Denver, we did Atlanta, we did San Francisco, we did another one that is escaping. Oh, Charlotte, we did Charlotte. So second season, we branched out. We looked at iconic dishes around the world. We looked at dining in theme parks. There's just so much interesting food everywhere you look. I work with a very small crew. I have one DP, Mike. We have an assistant. We have 2 hosts. Usually one person is a local and an exec producer. When you shoot in an airport, it's actually very controlled. We have to do security check, and there has to be an escort. So you can't have a huge crew with you unless you're willing to fork out a ton of money. So we have to actually keep our imprint pretty small, and we shoot all the restaurants in a day. So that's eating at 5 to 6 restaurants in one day. So a lot of people are like, oh, your job sounds so fun. Like, I wish I could do that. And yeah, it is totally fun, but try eating at 5 restaurants in a day and like also being enthusiastic about those restaurants. And also just what I've learned through doing this is like, it's actually not easy to talk about food while you're eating it. So I think being able to convincingly, convey some excitement actually does take skill. As a producer, I'm tasked with a lot of things. I have to research the places that we go. I have to handle our budgets. I have to look at insurance, permits. They're different everywhere you go, especially shooting in an airport. An airport is like, you'll have an airport in a city, but you have the airport rules, and then you also have the municipal rules, and then just booking travel. And so there's a lot of work that has to go into producing these pieces. And what a lot of people might not realize is I'm not just talent on camera. I'm actually producing it as well. The biggest struggle for me though is just putting together a best list. I hate calling anything the best of anything because it's so subjective. I'm not a
So you loved it when we asked you to put together a best list for this.
I stressed over it. But luckily there were some parameters to work within. Like, I had to look at, well, not only what are the best meals that I had, but what do I actually have footage to with you. So yeah, I'm not a food critic. I just like food. I love fast food. I love fancy food. I think the dining experience has a lot to do with how we enjoy our food. It's not just about the meal itself. It's about all the things you were feeling. And that's again why I love exploring food on my travels, because you're trying something foreign in a foreign place. So there's just so many different elements to enjoying it. So here's a clip from Non Voyage with a budget.
Have you ever eaten a burrito from the middle?
No.
Hey, I'm Gunnarolla, world traveler, food lover. An airport isn't exactly the first place you'd expect to get a quality meal, but today we're slowing things down and exploring the dining options at some of the biggest airports in North America.
I feel like I need to stretch. I feel like I need to fast.
We have enough circumference here that we would never meet each other in the middle.
You want a slurp
I
off?
want a slurp off.
Oh, I'm gonna win this one for sure.
We are going to make gourmet popcorn balls.
I'm flying economy, but I'm having a first-class dining experience today.
Whether you got a layover, delay, or you're just one of those people who gets to the airport super early, catch Travel Channel's Non Voyage for some of the best spots to grab a bite before you catch a flight.
So tasty. So what we asked you, like as you said, travel and food are a natural fit. Like, so many people love to eat their way through whatever country they're in. So we asked you to not only come up with the best meals that you've had, but what were the most memorable meals and why from all of your travels?
Yeah, so first on our list is afternoon tea at the Supaniga Eating Room in Bangkok. People love Southeast Asia. If you're coming from North America, Southeast Asia is a great travel destination because it's very affordable. You can live off of street food, and it's pretty inexpensive. But as I've discovered in my many journeys to Thailand, there's like a whole other side. So this is a little bit ritzier, but it's very beautiful. And I love that they put so much thought into the presentation. You're also right on the river. And it's just delicious. They had a Thai tea panna cotta that I really liked. And yeah, afternoon tea, I'm just really starting to appreciate those experiences because it's just another meal to add into the day. So here's a clip from our afternoon tea.
Next, we're off to the Supaniga Eating Room in Bangkok for afternoon tea, Thailand style. Here you can select from a wide variety of high-quality signature house blends, from Chinese teas to Assam black tea from India, all mixed with local Thai herbs. Accompanying your tea are authentic savory and sweet dishes that capture Thai flavors thanks to ingredients like sweet potato, mango, coconut, and there's even a Thai tea panna cotta. Top off your experience with a glass of champagne and a beautiful view of the Chao Phraya River.
Wow. The detail that's put in those pieces is crazy.
Thanks. Yeah, and that's just like me shooting with the camera. So if you're not able to go to Thailand though, luckily in Toronto, there's a restaurant called Kin where you can experience Royal Thai cuisine by Chef Nui. Chef Nui just released a cookbook today, so congratulations to her. But again, it's just kind of a different take on the standard Thai food that we might be accustomed to. It's higher quality ingredients. It's more thought into the presentation. It's just every type of flavor. And that's what I love about Thai cuisine. You get sweet, salty, umami, you get everything in one bite. So here's an interview we did with her.
Royal cuisine style, it's very, very special. They choose from the best ingredients, and also the technique cooking for royal cuisine style, very delicate. We put our thought and care into how they're gonna make it beautiful on the table. Some fruits or vegetable, even carving to like a beautiful flower-like, or even like leaves and everything.
We have some guests today that will be serving. What kind of impression do you want to make?
I want to make it feel like a very special cause.
I love her. I've actually had the experience of eating there as well. And I agree with you. It's so tasty and it's just so like aromatic. There's so many different ingredients that she uses.
Yeah, it's great. And honestly, just Chef Nui and Jeff are just such lovely people, and they've been so supportive in the community. And actually, we did that interview in the first place because the top 3 drag queens from Thailand, Drag Race Thailand, were there. So it's just a nice way to kind of introduce them to Toronto. If these ritzier experiences are a bit out of reach for you, there's also 100 yen sushi, which is about $1, in Tokyo. And I love this because really it's just an experience. It's not necessarily the best sushi you'll have, but you're able to order from an iPad. The orders come out on a conveyor. There are a few spots like this in Canada now, but it's still pretty unique. And I think it's very relevant now, especially with contactless ordering and trying to envision what does the future of dining look like. So here's a clip from our first time experiencing that in Tokyo.
We decided to grab lunch at a 100 yen sushi restaurant, the perfect place to eat if you want to be alone with a couple dozen other people. You order 2 more items. Order. That's the shot that I wanted.
So yeah, that's just a really, really unique dining experience. And I mean, for me, the sushi was great. So definitely try that if you're in Tokyo. If you're in Cologne, Germany, I mentioned I worked with Hard Rock Cafe. I've got a clip of one of the burgers we featured. It's the schnitzel burger. I love anything deep fried. So to put that also in a burger form is really special.
Now that we know what schnitzel is, let's find out how it's made from Chef Felix. The Hard Rock Schnitzel uses pork cutlet. The meat is primed in a special flour, given a bath in egg batter, then covered in breadcrumbs for an extra crispy finish. After Felix's demo, he let me make my own.
Did it, my first schnitzel.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
Schnitzel dates back to 1 BC when they thought that meat would taste better battered and fried. I have to agree with that. Once fried to golden perfection, it's time to add our schnitzel to the local legendary burger. The savory pork helps complement the taste of the sauerkraut and both go well with a freshly baked pretzel bun. It's just about time to sink my teeth into this monster of a burger.
Clearly, I should have had dinner before talking to you because this is really making me hungry.
I found a comment somebody left the other day. They're like, I've watched Gunnarolla eat more times today than I've actually eaten today. So I have to say too, it's easy to say, oh, you're working with the restaurant, like you're a bit biased. And it's true, when we work with a partner that we're featuring, maybe we are getting the best experience. But I've actually dined at a lot of these places just on my own without them knowing who I was, and it was still excellent. So yeah, really love the schnitzel burger. Definitely try that out if you're in Germany. If you're in Los Angeles, they've got the best tacos. We've done a taco crawl. You can find it on my YouTube channel. But I wanted to highlight Trejo's Tacos. It's founded by Danny Trejo, who you might recognize from a bunch of films. They've put his restaurant in the airport. I think it's Los Angeles Terminal 1. So, airport food is also sometimes a way to experience local food if you're not able to leave the airport. So here's an interview that we did with him.
You may recognize Danny Trejo from one of his many film and TV roles, and now he can be seen as the face of Trejo's Tacos, with several locations around Los Angeles for Mexican cuisine. He cites his mother as the inspiration behind his chain of restaurants, and with the help of executive chef Mason Royal, they were able to develop a delicious, customizable menu of tacos, burritos, bowls, and quesadillas, and even some vegan-friendly options.
What are your favorite dishes here?
Oh man, God.
Can you pick one?
You know what? I love the carnitas, I love the carne asada. I love the fact that you come in after a quesadilla and you really place those in a chicken quesadilla and you can put chicken in it if you want. Or maybe you put shrimp in it if you want.
So give me one reason why I tried Trejo's Tacos. What would they?
That's really the best food in LA.
Yeah.
Love that.
I have to say too, that was like probably one of the most chaotic shoots I've been a part of, because we were like actually shooting in the food court. I don't know if you saw it at the end, but like someone was just walked right into the camera. Like there were people everywhere. There were people traveling, and Danny actually didn't have like a huge security detail or anything like that. So yeah, it was hectic to kind of just like be in the zone with him. He's also like a Hollywood legend, so
Yeah.
I was like sweating a bit, but it turned out okay. We also, so that was a clip from Nom Voyage. And then in our second season, we had the chance to visit Detroit. And Detroit is a really interesting and exciting food destination because you have a lot of chefs, that establish themselves in Chicago, New York, and then they've come to Detroit to kind of build something there. But there are also a lot of really interesting local stories. And for me in particular, it's immigrant stories, people who came to America with really nothing and had the determination and the foresight to, build something, offer something that's unique. So one thing I came across in our research when we were looking for iconic Detroit food was this thing called Asian corned beef. And when I saw the logo, and you'll see a picture of it in a second, I thought it was just like, I didn't think it was an Asian run business. I thought it was just like appropriation thing, but it turns out that it's this Vietnamese immigrant named Kim White. She had the idea to put corned beef in an egg roll, and she built this like empire. I think they have 6-8 locations in Detroit alone, or in Michigan, and it's just an amazing snack. So here's a glimpse of what she's like.
No doubt one of the more unique items on our list is the corned beef roll. Corned beef and Swiss cheese wrapped in an egg roll wrapper. Invented by Vietnamese immigrant Kim White, you'll find it at Asian Corned Beef, her family-owned and operated business with multiple locations in Detroit. Kim's story is proof that you can find success with a great idea and a lot of determination.
You really love being in the kitchen.
I love it. My ex-husband divorced me because I spent too many time on the kitchen. But I feel good. I feel so good. Every time I got divorced, and I can get more than yeah.
So you're not looking for another husband?
No.
All right, Kim, thanks for taking the time to talk to us. Let's try this out.
All right. I wish that you come in at the time, come in there. I really enjoy you guys being here today.
Right. Incredible. Needs to choose the yellow, that crispiness on the outside is just so good.
Thank you.
Only in Detroit.
I need to go
Only
to
in Detroit.
That looks so good.
Yeah, and if you want to see the full episode, it's on the HGTV website. You can see Nom Voyage on Travel Channel and HGTV's digital platforms. Next on our list is everything in Taiwan. I couldn't narrow it down to one experience because I love Taiwan, and I think it's a little underrated as a travel destination. People usually use it as a stopover and they go to Thailand or they go to Japan, but spend some time in Taiwan if you can, because so many incredible flavorful foods have originated there. Beef noodle soup, you've got so many kinds of dumplings, bubble tea, popcorn chicken, just the spices, the flavors. So I was actually sent to Taiwan 2 years ago on a mission to capture lu ro fan, which is braised pork on rice. And they had a festival to celebrate all the different ways to do it. And I will say, I think the best foods are the ones that are simple, deceptively simple, but that you can customize so many different ways. So lu ro fan, you can do a ton of different ways, ton of different spice combinations or additions. So here's the intro to the video that we did for them.
A Of all the countries I've been to in Asia so far, I'd have to say that Taiwan is one of my favorite destinations for food. You're probably familiar with popcorn chicken, bubble tea, and beef noodle soup, but this time we're making our way to the Luro Fan Festival, a celebration of one of Taiwan's most beloved dishes, raised pork on rice. On our journey to the festival, we'll be stopping at attractions and restaurants along the way and learning more about what makes Taiwan such a special travel destination.
So yeah, that's if you want to see the full piece, you can check it out on my YouTube channel. It's a good example of, you know, a food story that incorporates so many other kind of cultural activities and scenery. So I'm really proud of that piece. If you can't go to Taiwan to try their amazing dumplings, luckily there's something called the Richmond Dumpling Trail in British Columbia. It's a collection of different Asian restaurants that offer some version of the dumpling. And this is the incredible thing about the dumpling is every culture has their own take on it. One of my favorites, and something was completely new that I didn't know existed, was the Vietnamese version, which is very chewy and uses a tapioca wrapper. So here is a clip from that story.
Our last stop on the dumpling trail is Banh Mi Très Bon, an authentic Vietnamese restaurant that serves bang bot lao, the Vietnamese dumpling that's wrapped in a thin tapioca skin. It's bite-sized and chewy and the perfect appetizer to any meal.
I've never had Vietnamese style dumplings.
I know, me neither. They look very silky. So excited.
Silky, translucent, you've got like fried shallots and sauteed onions. And of course, essential to any Vietnamese dish.
Fish sauce. Look how squishy. I love this. This is my kind of texture right here.
Looks good.
Yeah, check out Banh Mi Très Bon if you're in British Columbia. And hopping over a province in Calgary, this is definitely at the top of the list of my personal most memorable dining experiences. Chef Darren McLean, who you'll know from Netflix, The Final Table, he has this kind of, it's almost like a speakeasy. It's a restaurant at the back of another restaurant. It's only 8 seats. And it is an exploration of kind of contemporary Canadian cuisine. When people think of Canadian food, they think of poutine, tortilla, like very Quebec-based foods. But there's actually, you know, so many different cultures. So at 8, he kind of explores that using high-quality ingredients, his technique, and it was just incredible. So here's a clip from that.
I've been a huge fan of Chef Darren since we visited his first restaurant, Shokunin. When he invited us to the very first public seating at 8, we were thrilled. Each seating offers at least 12 different courses that can be paired with cocktails, wine, and sake. And although each experience offers something different, at the risk of ruining it, I'll just share 4 of my personal favorite dishes.
We just lightly cook the egg, like almost a soft-boiled egg, and we smoke it in Canadian hay. So the cream is made by boiling the use of gills of water a couple times. And then we blitz them into creme fraiche. This is beautiful, definitely from Hokkaido. It's pretty special stuff. Greens are wasabi on microgreen. So very, very spicy and incredibly rich.
Wow, so much attention to detail. I feel like I wouldn't be able to eat it. I'd be like, it's too cute looking.
Yeah, you're just admiring it. Well, and the funny thing is, you know, it was a coincidence that I was in town when he opened the restaurant. And I actually hadn't even planned to go to 8. I had planned to go to Nupo, which is his sushi restaurant. But a pipe had froze, so they had to close the entire restaurant for whatever. But anyway, so I reached out to him because we're friends, and he said, hey, why don't you just come experience 8? And I'm so glad I did. It's definitely like a once in a lifetime type of thing, or like, and a very special occasion, because it's not like, yeah, you're not going to go there every day. It's also got a wait list. So yeah, 8 by Chef Darren McLean. So number 1 on my list, or number 10, whichever one it is, the last one on my list, we tried camel in Egypt, or so I thought.
Of course, we ended up at McDonald's, but I was really excited because I've been waiting the whole trip to try something new and exotic. Hello, viewers. Today, we are going to try McDonald's kangaroo burger.
Camel.
Sharif told us we were going to try camel burger, so I bit right into that thing, and I ate all of it, and I loved it. I enjoy camel.
Can't quite explain the British accent, but I got on the bus the next day, and I told everyone to try camel
burger. And don't believe me. So I looked at the McArabia online, and as it turns out, we had chicken.
I love that. That was like the Egypt version of like street meat after a night out or something.
That's exactly what it was. So it was the McArabia at McDonald's. The whole trip, our tour manager had told me, I'm gonna get you to try camel. We're gonna try camel burger. So we went in, we tried it, and I loved it. But then I found out the next day I didn't have camel; it was chicken that I had.
So funny.
They actually offer that. It's like a pita chicken situation. They offer it at a ton of different McDonald's under different names in different countries. But if you're in Egypt, it's called the McArabia. Highly recommend that. And that's the end of our list.
That's awesome. I think there's some really great suggestions in there for people that are visiting those areas, but also you're just so entertaining. Like, it's great to talk to you. And I know that, you know, if people haven't checked you out on YouTube or all your other channels, this is the handle here. It's basically Gunnarolla for everything. I actually was on your YouTube channel earlier today, and I watched your new the driving one, like teens driving. And I love how the start of your videos, you're like, "Hi, I'm Gunnarolla. You might know me from the internet."
That's where people mostly know me from.
So what can we expect from you next? Like, what's in your near future?
Well, you know, when the pandemic hit, obviously I had to put a hold on the travel and food stories, which is my entire thing. But you know, I'm determined to make this work. So I found opportunities to tell stories of local businesses, looking at local restaurants. I have been doing a bit of travel domestically, so there will be some stories out there. I love exploring Canada. I've driven across it multiple times. I've visited every province. I haven't gone up to the territories, but you know, if you feel comfortable and when it's safe to do so, I think there's definitely tons to see within Canada. And even if it's a road trip, you know, we just went out to Blue Mountain a couple weeks ago, and it's 2 hours away from Toronto, and there's just so much to see and do there that we tend to overlook that because we want to go to more exotic destinations, or maybe it's more affordable to fly to Europe than it is to fly to Vancouver. But you know, there's a lot to see in Canada, and I think as long as you know you do it safely, that it's a great option to explore.
Love that. Well, I think we have some people probably waiting for that prize pack that we do every week. So we'll invite Joel back here, and he is going to throw up some questions as well if we've had some over the course of the conversation. So for the prize pack, if anyone that wants to participate, go to the chat and get ready to type quickly, because the first person that gets the right answer will win a Contiki prize pack. So can you name the restaurant that Andrew mentioned in Toronto?
It's the Thai restaurant.
We got the first one. So, my chat's going off now. It looks like the first one was Debbie Reed. So congrats, Debbie. Jenny will be in.
Debbie Reed. Okay, I'll make a note of that. Awesome. Joel, do we have any questions for Andrew?
Yeah, it was. I think you have a ton of fans out there. A lot of great feedback, and I encourage Andrew to go in there and read some of those comments. But I guess one of the first ones I got was, how did you come up with the name of Gunnarolla?
You know, everybody, I need to come up with a fake story because I don't have a good origin story. I think I was like trying to come up with a name, and I looked over and there was a Motorola phone, and I thought, oh, Gunnarolla, because my last name's Gunadie. So that's that.
That's great. No, it's
but
a great name.
I've never worked with Motorola. Never worked with Motorola. So
there's a couple more questions. What is your best memory specifically from the Egypt trip? I know when we were doing this you said Egypt was one of your most kind of questioned video of people looking to go to Egypt. So
I mean, day one was just full of every possible highlight. We went to see the pyramids. We went to see the Sphinx. We really just crash landed into this entirely different place. When I landed actually from the flight, one of my viewers somehow figured out which flight I was on from Munich. And Kareem met up with me at the airport with like a Gunnarolla sign. So that was unexpected. And he was just a great help. Just he took us around on the very first day because we didn't join the tour until the next day. But yeah, I would say day one, but the entire trip really, I was scared to go to Egypt. I didn't know what the situation was there. But you know, if I was going to do it one way, it would have to be a guided tour. We had an amazing tour manager, Sharif, and you know, Contiki built a tour that just every day it was something like breathtaking and just incredible. And the people were incredible on that trip too.
I guess it kind of leads into the next question: is do you have any advice for someone who's wanting to do more solo trips or going on a
solo trips? Yeah, I mean, I would recommend doing a group tour, because traveling solo doesn't mean you're alone the whole time. It just means you're going there alone. So a group tour is a great way to make friends, you know, get yourself situated and oriented with professionals and locals. Often what I'll do is like, I'll do the Contiki for 2 weeks and then I'll just take a week on my own. Because I've been given the foundation of, you know, the tools to know where I am, to navigate where I am, and then kind of exploring on my own. So I would recommend doing that. But yeah, I mean, also just, it's fine to just pick a random destination and just go and figure it out. Like I went to Moncton without really doing a bunch of research. And then I ended up producing a story there that, you know, was authentic and the people there really appreciated. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it, but I would say if you're apprehensive and you want to travel solo more, you know, ease into it by doing a group trip if you can, and meet, you know, and then kind of taking time to do your own thing.
I'm kind of adapting, and maybe this is the final question, but if you were to go anywhere right now in the world, where would you want to go?
Ooh. Taiwan. Yeah, Taiwan is just, I would just want to eat Taiwanese food.
How many times have you been to Taiwan?
Ooh, I don't know. I think 4 or 5. It's just that great. Everybody needs to go.
Love that.
Yeah, well, thank you all for all the comments and questions. And again, yeah, there's lots of great comments in there. So lots of people that you've inspired over the years.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joel. And thank you again, Andrew. It was absolutely amazing talking to you as always. And yeah, if anyone wants to follow Gunnarolla, if you don't already, you can see there at Gunnarolla on basically every platform. And stay tuned, same time next week, where we'll be talking with Whistler. We have some locals who are going to give some really cool local tips if maybe you can get out to Whistler this winter if you can't travel internationally yet. So again, thank you, Andrew. It was great. Enjoy the rest of your night, and hopefully we will chat soon.
Thank you. À la prochaine.
Thanks, everyone.